Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but something is off. And it's actually kind of sort of, but not really special edition of the podcast because this is the 100th episode of the podcast. I kind of wanted to do something slightly special for the 100. I have it on my list here, my document that keeps track of all the different podcast episodes. I wrote down here 100th episode special. I have nothing special planned. I have nothing special planned for today, but I feel like at some point, and when I say at some point, that means when I feel like it, I will do something a little bit special to celebrate. It's like, do you really need to celebrate your birthday on the actual day of your birthday? Is it that important? To me, it's not. I think if it's a holiday and you're celebrating the holiday, like for example, like when Halloween doesn't land on a Friday or on a weekend, do you celebrate? People are celebrating before, the weekend before, or like the weekend after. Like if Halloween is on a Wednesday, like what do? It's the weekend before or weekend after. You don't go out on a Wednesday or whatever. I guess if kids go trick-or-treating, they do it on Wednesday. But, adults don't do that. They're not going to go to a Halloween party on a Wednesday night. Well, not the adults that are like past their 20s anyways. Anyway, so because this is my podcast, I'll do what I want. There you go. Yeah, but it is 100 episodes. And as I have gone older, I feel it's helpful every once in a while to, this is going to sound kind of corny to younger people, but, this advice maybe doesn't apply to super young people. But as I've gone older, I find it more and more valuable to just reflect on the things I have achieved and experienced so far in my life, just to kind of put things into perspective. I feel like in some ways, the longer you go through life, the more adventures you've had, more experiences, obviously, you've gotten a little bit wiser, hopefully. And, when you are kind of sort of in a patch where you're at like one of the lows in your life, and life is a little bit like a roller coaster. You get ups and downs, you have happy moments, sad moments, great memories, horrible memories, good and bad things come and go, and they kind of cycle through. When you're at one of those slightly tougher times in your life, sometimes I found it helpful to reflect on, some of your achievements that you can be proud of from your own past, from your own life. And sometimes it helps to put things into a little bit of a perspective. It's very easy to dwell on what's happening to you at the current moment, especially if it's something not so pleasant. And a lot of the times, these are things that, on the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? Like, it probably doesn't. But, those daily or weekly annoyances that we sometimes get, many of which I've vented about many a times on this very podcast. But, sometimes you just take a step back. It's like, on the grand scheme of things, like this is not that bad. For the 100th episode, I feel like I'm doing a little bit of reflecting, and there have been a couple of developments this past week that are maybe not the most positive of things. For example, I hurt my back at the gym, and I thought it was my muscles getting tight, and my muscles are pretty tight. No, that's not a euphemism for something, but I got back from Asia 2 weeks ago, started to get back into the gym. For some reason, I decided to do squats. I know, I don't know why either. And my lower back it felt like it was just my back got super tight. That's what I thought it was. And it kind of hurt to bend over or to twist. So I rested for a couple of days, and it was pretty much back to 95 or 100% in a couple of days. So I was like, okay, maybe we don't do squats, but we can do other things. Like we're fine now, but like, okay, let's not do squats for right now. So the next week I was doing something else. It's like a week later, and I was doing at the gym chest and abs ish. Nothing fancy, nothing I haven't done before, not anything, no super complicated exercises. I'm not the kind of person that does the really advanced, trippy looking exercises. Have you ever seen someone do, I don't remember the technical term for this exercise, but basically someone is basically hanging from some sort of bar and they have tilted their legs up so that, their legs are parallel and level to the ground, or like a little bit more actually. It should be beyond that. They're hanging from some sort of bar, okay? And then they've crunched their legs up so that it's like closer to the chest than it is to the ground. And then they rotate their legs from left to the right like a windshield wiper. My nickname for that is like the windshield wiper move. So imagine standing behind someone hanging from a bar, and then you can see their legs curled up close-ish to the chest, and it's just going left, right, like windshield wipers on a car. So that's like a kind of advanced exercise. You would never find me doing shit like that. I'm just doing like a regular bench press, regular crunches, regular leg curls, regular shoulder presses, things like that. But anyways, I was doing exercises that I've been doing for months. And the next day, the back issue like came back again, but like a little bit worse. And I thought, oh, my muscles must just be tight. So what I decided to do, I went back to the gym, not to lift weights the next day, but to really stretch out my back. The day after, it got even worse. So I was like, okay, this is pretty bad. I couldn't even bend over the sink that morning, the day after I went to do the stretching, to even wash my face. So that morning, I didn't even wash my face. So I was like, okay, I can't even do my skincare. This is serious. So the day after, I went to a physical therapist, and basically she said, it's not your muscles. You are putting a lot of stress on the discs in your spine. So it's not a herniated, is that the word? The disc is not actually damaged. So she was explaining to me on the computer with diagrams like what it is. A herniated disc is when I don't know the technical term for this. It's basically, it's like a jelly donut. It's like the jelly in the middle is like escaping past the crusty shell. It was the analogy that I thought of when she was using the diagrams on her computer to explain to me. Thank you, Google image search. But she's like, okay, you don't have that, but basically you are putting maybe excessive stress onto your discs. And it's not like ruptured or herniated, but it's like irritated. So basically stretching would make that even worse. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why when I did the stretching, it felt even worse the next day. Right now, as it is today, I went to PT, was it yesterday or the day before? I think yesterday. I went to PT yesterday. And today, it's feeling like 85%. So it is getting a lot better quite quickly now that I know what it is and how to manage it. So it's nothing bad. Like anything with a disc in your spine, that sounds like, oh, that sounds serious. But basically, all I really need to do is rest that part of the body for 4 to 6 weeks, and we should be okay. And obviously take more care not to just put excessive amounts of force onto the spine and onto the discs in the future. So I'm sure when I did the squats, I did not, I wasn't using the proper muscles, and the form must have been off. And the PT person said it's probably because you're not activating your glutes, which sounds about right. So there you go. But, even when it was like a couple of days ago when it was like, oh, you know what? I can barely bend over. Like I can barely put shoes on. It was difficult to change clothes, like change pants. It was quite difficult to put socks on. Getting up and sitting down was difficult. It was pretty much like, it was almost like I was disabled. Like the mobility was like so low for that one day. So, but even then, it would be easy to just be, it'd be easy to be freaked out at a situation like that. But, kept my spirits up. The therapy sessions are definitely helping. That happened this week. And it's like, well, I mean, I was just thankful that it wasn't something worse. It was like, oh, I just need to rest the area for like 4 to 6 weeks. Yes, I will take that, because when you have a medical issue, sometimes it could seem to be something minor, but then you get it diagnosed and whatever, and then it's like, oh, it's much worse. Or sometimes it could be like the other way around. I mean, like tight muscles doesn't seem like a thing. Then when she was when she had me on the bench and she was like poking around and figuring out what it was, and she's like, yeah, it sounds like you have like irritated discs in your spine. That sounds scary. All I heard was like disc, and I was like, this doesn't sound good. But she immediately said, it's not as bad as you think. So when she explained it, it was all good. Okay, that's honestly, on the grand scheme of things, of medical issues, a minor thing. It's like, okay, you like overexerted a part of your body from exercising, you just need to rest. It's really not a big deal. On the grand scheme of medical issues that could happen to someone, it's really on the very lighter end. I mean, it's probably not as bad as like the flu, honestly. Even little things like that, it's easy to be freaked out. But, looking at it, it's like, oh, okay, I just need to rest. Like, I happily just rest that off. Not a problem. Separately, I got some stressful news about one of my business ventures of the legal variety. So therefore, it's not in my best interest to talk about it. It's nothing serious. I'm not being sued. It's not a litigation thing. But it's just like, it's just like a stressful thing, because it's like, roadblock. That's like the immediate emotion after reading that email. But, I decided, you know what? Let's choose not to be stressed about it. And I took a shower. I took a shower right before I recorded this podcast, actually. And yeah, I'm just choosing not to be super stressed about it. I do need to do something about it, but the good thing is there are options. There are like multiple options, no perfect option, but there are some options. So I think a different version of me in the not so distant past would have been super worked up about it. But the current 100th episode, Joey, is keeping it glass half full. So yeah, sometimes, it helps to have perspective. It's like no one died. No one died. On the grand scheme of issues I've encountered in my life, this is pretty minor. I've had 100 other worse situations that I've dealt with, and I'm still here. Yeah, here we are 100 episodes later. When I started this, I just started it because I'm talkative. I'm very talkative, and I'm pretty opinionated. Anyone that's heard any number of episodes of this podcast will be like, no shit, Sherlock. But yeah, I think it's been nice to have this podcast for me to just talk about whatever and not have it be a hobby, and not really have it be anything more than that. I can't even really tell you what the purpose is of publishing these things every week and putting it out there. When I was doing the YouTube, I'm still doing YouTube videos. By the way, a YouTube video just went up on my YouTube channel. I'm supposed to be plugging it, but I forgot to plug it up top. But here's the plug. I just did another cruise video about gay cruise myths and facts. Starting to get quite a bit of views. So go check that out on my YouTube channel, Just Joey T, if you haven't already. But once in a great while, I'm doing those YouTube videos, and some of those are a lot of work. Some are easier. Some of them, it's a lot of work. And sometimes I'll be working on my computer. It's like, oh, who's watching this? Like, who really wants to see this? But like, I get to post it anyways. And then once in a while, I get a comment or someone comes up to me on a cruise and say, especially a few years ago when we were just kind of independent or just coming out of it, I had a surprising number of people tell me, oh no, thank you for your videos. While we were in quarantine, one of the things we watched were your videos, to kind of sort of like keep our sanity a little bit, because, it was kind of sort of their way of like experiencing or reliving, what's it like to be on vacation and be out and about, or like to go to a party while they were in quarantine. And so once in a while, I get a comment or someone tell me like, oh, thank you for your videos. Like this is the reason why we're on a cruise, or like this is why the reason we went to a party, or like we really enjoy watching it while we're in quarantine during the pandemic. So sometimes it's things like that. That's like, that's good to like keep in mind when I do something. This episode, I did the YouTube channel. I still only do it for like purely for fun. It's a hobby, and even the OnlyFans. I've had a few people say to me, oh, thank you for the Asian representation in your OnlyFans, like for your OnlyFans. I guess especially for like a US audience, there's not a lot of Asian creators, I guess. But I've never really thought about that until I had like a few people start to come up to me and like mention that explicitly, Asian representation for OnlyFans as part of like that community. And I was like, oh, I never thought the type of impact me trying to just turn a dollar would be by doing that type of content. So sometimes, I guess another thing I'm keeping in mind as I'm reflecting on at 100 episodes now, as I've gone a little bit older in my life, where sometimes it's a little hard to keep in mind the purpose of doing certain things. It's like this video or podcast or whatever, it could actually like cheer up someone's day. And, I put this content out there. And sometimes like content creators, we just don't know, or it's kind of hard to imagine the impact that the content has on whoever might be consuming it. Someone puts out a video or on TikTok, or they post something on Instagram, YouTube, a podcast, whatever content it is, maybe it doesn't get a lot of views. Maybe it only gets like a few hundred views. That doesn't seem like a lot of people, but like maybe a few of those people, it really helped them out. It brightened up a crappy day that they were having. They found it useful, and then they decided to like do something based on that. So content creation, it's everyone's trying to be a content creator and influencer and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes I say that to myself, or kind of remind myself, when I'm doing content creation, and it's a part of content creation where it's a little bit more of a less enjoyable part of the process. Editing videos, I put out so many videos across so many mediums and so many different types, but I don't really enjoy editing videos. Because, editing the videos can take quite a long time, and I'm just picky enough that I won't let a subpar video come out of my edits. It's just not in my nature. I don't love editing, but I will not put out a crappily edited video. I just can't do it. It has to be like decent quality. But it's just like once you put that content out there, it's out there for like a lot of people to see. So even the times where like, oh my God, I've been editing this video for like 3 hours and I still have so much left to do. Sometimes it helps to remind myself like the impact that the content is having. Sometimes it's just those little things to just motivate myself to like keep going, which I find is so important in a lot of areas in life. It's a little easier when, it's like a school assignment and like you have to get that thing done, or like you work for a company and like there's like there are like meetings you have to go to. I've talked about kind of sort of being autopilot in the corporate world before, where like, yeah, there's a meeting you have to go to, and there's like this thing you have to get done, blah, blah, blah. For me, the motivation has been a little bit harder being self-employed, because there's no one to hold yourself accountable for anything except yourself. At least for me anyways, it takes quite a bit of explicit, conscious effort to keep myself motivated to like keep on taking the task off the to-do list and keep doing things, because it's so easy for me to like be overwhelmed and then kind of sort of not like shut down hard, but just kind of sort of like procrastinate and like not really want to do things, even though these are things I know I need to do. So there's a part of it where like, oh my God, I'm running these businesses. There's like a million things to do. It's like overwhelming. Oh, let's not do it. And there's the other part of me that gets stressed out the more I procrastinate. Is like when you have homework that's due and the longer you wait to start and the closer you are to the deadline, the more stressed you are about it. And you kind of sort of like worry about it. But the solution to that is just effing do the homework. I was mentioning to my therapist, I had a friend in college, and sometimes I would give her a ride to campus on certain days when our schedules matched up. This was like our second year in college, something like that, or first or second year, maybe first year. We had some common classes together. It was like first year engineering. And we were just talking about one of the classes we had, how we had this like big assignment or project or whatever due. It wasn't due like tomorrow, but it was due like coming up a little later on. And I just said, like, oh, I hadn't started on it. And she's like, oh, I'm already like mostly done. I was talking about how I was like stressed or worried or whatever about it. And then she said something that still somehow stuck with me to this day. And I mentioned this in therapy this past week. She was saying, oh, for me, it was more stressful to actually not do it, to procrastinate. That was more stressful. It was so much better just to like get started on it and just make progress on it and then get it done, not at the last minute. And then just something kind of clicked when she said that on that car ride to campus that one morning. It just was like, that makes so much sense. Doesn't mean that today I don't procrastinate or there aren't times where I feel lazy, but definitely, you know, a lot of the mundane things we have to do, like cleaning the toilet. Who the F wants to clean the toilet, right? It's like, you know what? If I just get it done now, then I can like enjoy the rest of my day and not have it hang over me. So that kind of goes back to that homework example of like, just get the homework done, and then it will be like a weight off your shoulders. It'll be like stress off of your brain, and then you can just like enjoy the rest of that day or the week or whatever. So I kind of apply that to like a lot of things that I have to do. Sometimes during that day, it's like, or during that week, it's like, okay, oh, I have to do laundry. It's like, you know what? Let's just get. I would actually now want to like just get the stuff I don't want to do, chores especially, just get that out of the way. And then so that I can do something more enjoyable later on in the day. I would rather end my day on doing something more enjoyable, like sitting on a couch or like eating. But I will do that after doing the laundry or scrubbing the toilet or like whatever it is. I have no idea how we're talking about this. You already know. The special thing about the 100th episode special is basically a reminder that this podcast is, one, my podcast and not your podcast. Two, I will talk about whatever I want whenever I want. And number three, I make the rules here. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the 100th episode special. I got some tastier topics I want to do in the near future. But today, with this business thing that just popped up, and then with my back is like 85%. Like I can mostly do normal things. The PT person even said I can go do gym things, just not go as heavy, and then just not do any exercises where I have to like bend at the hips or have to like bend over on my back. But yeah, so this week has been again, it's a very minor injury that doesn't require any like much corrective action except rest. This business thing, hey, there are multiple options to deal with it, and I've been through worse. So yeah, you know, looking at it as, oh, there are options. This is an opportunity. This is not like some bad thing that happened necessarily. This is like an opportunity to like be innovative and creative and work around the problem, and we have options. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Some of the topics I have brainstormed in my notes here is I kind of want to talk about, sometimes people ask me why I'm single. And I think now that we've hit 100 episodes, I think I can finally start to open up. After 100 episodes talking about absolutely useless bullshit, now we're going to finally get to the stuff that some of you might actually want to hear about. So one of the topics I want to talk about is what kind of boyfriend would I be? And the other one is what it would be like to go on a date with me. So if you want me to talk about those, comment down in the YouTube section below, or don't, whatever. I already established with those 3 rules I said before. Is this my podcast, and I'll talk about whatever I want and I make the rules. All right, until next time. Bye, y'all.